Welcome! This guide covers all the, in my opinion, most relevant HOTAS systems. It doesn't cover civil aviation. Still, all of the listed devices will let you fly civil aircraft as well, so stay with me. Let's start from the cheapest products and work us up all the way to the luxury section. I'll start with a brief overview and afterwards we'll check out the details of each unit. Then we'll discuss which combinations are the best for different budgets, so keep watching until the end to get a really comprehensive overview. The Logitech Extreme 3D Pro is the cheapest entry HOTAS worth mentioning. Gets the job done, but don't expect more than that. The same goes for the Thrustmaster T-Flight HOTAS X. Its throttle unit can be detached though, and there's a console version. The VelocityOne flight stick from Turtle Beach is a newcomer. It has some interesting and unique features in store, works on PC and consoles. The standard version of the VKB Gladiator NXT Evo Space Combat Edition, what a name, has all you need to fly a plane in one compact package. Thrustmaster developed a throttle unit to accompany the T16000 stick. This is sold as the T16000M FCS. The Logitech X-52 has been on the market for a long while now. The X-52 Pro is the more expensive brother of the X-52. The VKB Gladiator NXT Evo Space Combat Edition Premium version adds a rapid-fire trigger and an analog stick you could use for lateral thrust in space sims. The Logitech X-56 Starship Control Behemoth. They crammed every button, head, wheel and stick they could find on the HOTAS. You could possibly fly 2 planes at once with it. The Thrustmaster Warthog HOTAS system is a replica of the HOTAS used in the A-10 Warthog ground attack plane, made of metal, 3 kg base. The Winwing Orion 2 HOTAS metal is like the Warthog but with some neat enhancements and a better gimbal. The Virpil Constellation Alpha Prime plus the Virpil CM3 throttle is a premium solution which will last ages. Enough buttons, sliders and axes to control a Heinkel He 111 strapped onto the USS Missouri, strapped onto the Enterprise all at once. Now, let's get into the details. The Logitech Extreme 3D Pro is a tried and tested device with all the pros and cons of a cheap HOTAS. You get a head to trim your plane or look around, a throttle lever to control thrust, a trigger to shoot your guns, and a twistable stick to control your rudder. You also get 6 more buttons on the base. Its gimbal, that's the mechanism the stick is mounted upon and which picks up your steering motions, is a classic cup and ball design. This means a plastic ball moves within a cup of plastic. As you can imagine, there's a lot of friction going on there. No manufacturer uses high quality grease, and even if they did, you would need to re-lubricate on a regular basis. In combination, this means the stick will definitely wear out sooner or later. But it's cheap and you can absolutely successfully take your first steps in the flight and space sim world with it. Everything I just said applies to the Thrustmaster T-Flight HOTAS as well. It uses the same type of gimbal with cheap potentiometers to measure stick movement. So it also will eventually develop centering issues and or drift. It costs more, but you get an external throttle unit and an additional analog axis on the back of it. The twist axis is lockable on top of that. Now we're in the price range between 100 and 200 euros. We've got 5 candidates here. The first one is the T16000M FCS. It's the rather fragile T16000 stick combined with a throttle unit, which is the real selling point here. Let's talk about the throttle first. It's a sliding design you might need to grease once in a while. On the back of the handle is an analog rocker to control your rudder, which is very nice. You also find an analog stick for lateral thrust here. There also is a rotary dial and a slider. The stick is ambidextrous and the buttons on the base are placed accordingly. You'll have a hard time reaching half of them depending on the hand you use. In this package it doesn't matter though, since the throttle is made for left-hand use. You'll have to let go of the grip to reach the buttons on the right side of the base. The stick uses the same gimbal construction as our cheaper contenders. Good news though is that it uses Hall sensors on the main axis. They are contactless and won't wear out like cheap potentiometers. Its twist function is prone to break, so keep that in mind and twist gently. You also can't lock the twist axis. Otherwise, the whole system is quite durable considering its feature set and price point. Then we have the Turtle Beach VelocityOne flight stick. It's new on the market, so we can't judge its durability yet. Let's start with the good things. You get the following: enough buttons, 2 throttle axes, an 8-way hat, an analog mini stick, a trackpad, 1 clickable scroll wheel, a palm rest, ambidextrous design. There also is a headphone jack, and it's Xbox compatible. It's the cheapest way I'm aware of to control 6 dimensions of freedom with a single device. The materials used are way better than those of the sticks in the sub €100 range and also better than the T16000. The centering is rather stiff, so you will need to either mount the stick in place or support it with your other hand while maneuvering. Also, the trackpad is not very reliable, to say the least. I wouldn't include it in any decision-making process. The wheel on the base of the stick can't be mapped independently and just controls the stick setup menu on the top. They also cheaped out on the gimbal. It's another ball and cup design, but at least with Hall sensors like the T16000. Next up are the Logitech X-52 and the X-52 Pro. They both feature a dual stage trigger, 3 8-way hats, 2 rotaries, 1 slider, lockable twist, and a little mouse track stick on the throttle unit. On the top of each stick is a rotating switch which lets you remap your buttons in 3 different modes. The throttle unit's base has a little display you can use as a stopwatch. What sets the Pro version apart is a generally improved build quality. Some metal parts on the inside like the gimbal connector and better Hall sensors. It has stiffer centering than the softer non-Pro version, but also a heavier base. They both work well set on a table. Both don't feature an analog mini stick, and no, before you type an angry comment, the mouse track stick is in no way comparable to a real mini stick. The gimbal also is a cheap cup and ball design. All rotaries and sliders use cheap potentiometers, which will wear out over time, which will lead to tracking issues. Then there's the VKB Gladiator NXT Evo Space Combat Edition in the standard version. Let's start with the base. All axes have ball bearings and clutches, which makes their movement and centering much smoother than that of any other device we discussed to this point, by far. It also is way more durable because of its gimbal uses a glass fiber reinforced pincer design. 2 different spring types, soft and strong, are included. On the base are several buttons, a throttle wheel, a scroll encoder, and an auto-centering 3-position switch. The heavy base plate is made of steel. The twistable stick itself comes with 3 4-way hats, a dual action trigger, more buttons, and interchangeable palm rests. The molding is very good, so is the material used. The stick isn't creaking around and feels like a quality product. Grip and base together provide you with all the analog access to fly any plane. Our last contender in the €200 range is the Logitech X-56 Rhino. It's crammed with buttons and coders and hats like there's no tomorrow. You get 2 mini sticks on the grip and the throttle unit, 4 rotaries, 5 hats, 1 slider, and more buttons than you would ever need. The throttle lever is splittable, so you can manage 2 engines independently. Everything is topped with RGB lighting. Sounds too good to be true, and it is. The grip faces ergonomic issues, which means most hats can't be reached comfortably if you have hands smaller than the Yetis. The general build quality is more or less on par with the X-52 and sometimes below, which leads to creaking sounds, failing buttons, general electronic problems, drifting mini sticks, and other annoyances. The throttle tends to get stuck and needs several full motion cycles to allow smooth operation again. Now, we're going supersonic and beyond the €200 barrier. Our first system here is the VKB Gladiator NXT Evo Space Combat Edition in the premium version. It adds a mini stick and a rapid fire trigger to the grip, which gives you full 6 degrees of freedom controls. Next up is the Thrustmaster Warthog HOTAS system. It's a full metal replica of the original stick and throttle of the actual plane. You get a nice metal grip which doesn't twist, with 3 hats and a brake lever. I still love it to this day. The throttle unit also is an all-metal construction with dual engine control, a hat on the handle, tons of switches, and a track stick. It's all lit up in green. The thing is, the stick's base uses a cup and ball construction as a gimbal, and we all know by now what this means. I can't recommend this set anymore in any way, so let's move on. As a side note, you can mount the grip on Virpil's gimbals, which are light years better in terms of quality. The biggest problem of the Warthog is the Winwing Orion 2 metal HOTAS system. It basically is a tremendously superior Warthog at a slightly higher price. The gimbal sports a dual-cam design with contactless sensors which should last well beyond any nuclear war. Everything is customizable. The grip and throttle are both made of metal. You get more than enough heads, dials and buttons accompanied by an analog brake lever which also uses a Hall sensor. On the throttle's handle is a mini stick for lateral thrust, for example. Keep in mind that the stick doesn't twist, so you either need additional pedals or a twist upgrade for rudder control. And last but not least, there's Virpil. They offer a wide range of grips. The most versatile in my opinion is the Constellation Alpha Prime, which is the third iteration of the Alpha grip. It's an all-metal construction with upgraded mechanics and electronics. You get twist functionality, a 3-stage trigger, an analog brake lever, a scroll wheel, a mini stick and several heads. And RGB lighting. Ergonomics are good, everything is reachable easily. Combine this grip with the Warbird base, which also is a full metal dual cam design with contactless sensors, and you get a very precise, durable, high-end system. Virpil also offers the, in my opinion, best throttle unit on the market because it's the most flexible. The CM3 offers dual thrust control, a flap lever, loads of buttons and dials, and a mini stick. Its build quality is beyond any doubts. So, which one is the best? This depends on your needs and your budget. Let's see. Best budget stick below 100 euros, the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro. It's cheap and it gets the job done. You can get it used or as B-stock for as cheap as 30 to 40 euros. I wouldn't invest more if I just wanted to try out or casually play simulations. Best budget all-rounder, the T16000M TWCS HOTAS. Yes, the gimbal and the twist break easily, but the throttle unit is great and the versatility is just insane, especially at this price point and compared to the X-52, which lacks the mini stick and analog rocker. You could start with this set and replace the stick if it breaks with a better one. Which brings me to our next recommendation. Best value base to build upon, VKB NXT Evo Space Combat Premium. This HOTAS for slightly above 200 euros provides tremendous flexibility and quality in one package. You don't have a dedicated throttle unit, yes, but still you can comfortably fly anything from a biplane to a spaceship. If I had around 200 euros, I would start here and add a throttle unit later. The X-57 Rhino, which costs roughly the same, can't be recommended because of ongoing quality issues. Yes, sometimes it functions flawlessly for years, but most of the time it doesn't. If you dearly want a dedicated throttle unit, then spend 50 bucks more and get the best mid-range HOTAS. It's the VKB Gladiator NXT Evo Space Combat Standard Edition with a TWCS throttle unit. This is by far the most versatile combination which doesn't break the bank. You find the missing mini stick of the standard NXT Evo on the TWCS throttle handle, which gives you easy 6 degrees of freedom control. You could even lock the twist axis on the stick and use the rudder rockers instead. With a combined price of 240 euros, if you get good offers, it's a no-brainer in the given price range and blows the X-57 right out of the water. If you have a bit more to spend, then upgrade to the premium version, or you might consider my next recommendation. The Flexibility God. VKB Gladiator NXT Evo Space Combat Edition plus NXT Evo Omnithrottle. VKB offers a conversion kit, so you can transform your stick into a throttle unit. The X-axis can be blocked and the ergonomics work surprisingly well. As the stick remains twistable, there's a ton of options, especially for spaceflight. In the end, you get double everything. 2 mini sticks, 2 throttle wheels, 6 heads, and so on. And there's the option to convert it back. So you can try out or just use a double stick configuration, which is great for dogfighting in space. The Gladiator base is also modular, giving you the ability to expand it later on with several add-on modules. Best high-end entry. Winwing Orion 2 HOTAS metal with F16EX grip. I said it all before, no need to repeat. The Orion 2 is a great value package and makes the Warthog obsolete. Get it if you want to enter the high-end market. Don't forget to factor in a set of pedals or the twist upgrade. Best high-end combination. Constellation Alpha Prime plus CM3 throttle. Top-notch quality and even more versatility. This combo will serve you until the end of time. Runner-up, VKB Gunfighter series. Another top of the line grip and gimbal, completely worth the money. Although I think the Constellation Alpha is more versatile, these grips might be better for you for other reasons. Make sure to check them out if you want to build a high-end HOTAS system. I also want to emphasize that you should always consider to get a set of good pedals. They add an independent axis, which is always welcome, and are especially valuable for flying helicopters and World War II planes. An affordable and popular option are VKB's T-Rudder pedals. Make sure to check out the spreadsheet I made, which contains all the facts about the different systems. Link is in the description below. Also, fly safe, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you next time.